my friends. Welcome back to another episode. This is episode 28, and I know that because I just checked. Listen, I realized something. We're a professional. We're a professional podcast here. We ain't no piece of crap podcast that doesn't even know what episode they're on. Okay, we need to be more professional, and to start with being more professional, I should know the episode number before we start. So, anyway, hi, how are you guys? 28. Is that what I said? I think that's what I said. Anyway, yeah, we're here. We're cruising along. It's let's see, this is September, this episode. We'll have an episode in October, November, and December, and then that is a wrap. And then we made it through our first full year of podcasting. And I've got some surprises, but I mean, as a whole, I don't know. I'm not sure if a podcast needs to be reinvented, although we did obviously change it up. This is like our first month with a theme. Cal Morey had the idea of what if we had a theme. I love that guy. He's working hard to try to come up with ways to help the podcast. That Cal Morey guy. So if anyone is listening that is not Cal Morey and hears this, then I don't know, give him some love if you like the podcast, because he's putting that in that effort to help us keep it fresh. He had the idea of posting on Mondays. He had this idea. What'll he come up with next? Who knows? Nobody knows. But anyway, this episode is themed around trips or vacations or journeys, whatever it may be. And I'm just going to kind of talk about some trips I've been on in my life, some cool places I've gone, things I've done, and I just kind of talk about things that have happened in relation to those, and maybe answer some questions. Well, not maybe. I'm answering some questions. There are 2 questions in the form, so I will answer those, and we will rock it with some stuff, with some answers and everything. So anyway, let us go to the questions, and the first question we have is from. It doesn't say. Wait, this isn't. What? Oh, this isn't the right one. Okay, that's not the right form. Where's the right form? What the heck? That's not it. What the heck? Where's the right form? Well, we're a very professional podcast. Is this the one? Okay, here's the one. We're really good. Okay. This one also has 2, but it's the right one. That's funny. Oh, I was going to read a very non-right answer. Okay. This one says, it's from the the Tripperly. And it says, what was your first FurCon? How does it compare to FurCon trips now? So that's a wonderful question, and this is a good one. My first FurCon ever was BLFC, Biggest Little FurCon, 2015 in Reno, Nevada. And I went to college in Reno, as many of you know, from 2010 roughly to 2012-ish. So yeah, it was like it was going to be my first time back in Reno after those years. So, from 2012 when I came back home, May of 2012, returned to my home of San Diego. And then 2015 rolls around, and yeah, there's a FurCon there. At the time I was with Toshabi, and he wasn't really sure. And, I guess a little more background because it's kind of relevant. Toshabi kind of got me deeper into the fandom because I was kind of on the surface level, wasn't even really 100% in, sort of on the edge. And then he kind of got me more in, but he was kind of cautious about wanting to go to a FurCon. He wasn't sure if he would enjoy it. And I would say I was kind of the one who pushed on that trip to say, let's go, we should try to go. And I was kind of the one who told him, like, also the good thing about BLFC is a lot like LVFC. And I've talked about this in past episodes, but a lot like LVFC, there's a lot to do in Reno in general, and there's a lot to do at the hotel. So the hotel, and again, I've talked about this in other episodes, but the hotel has literally in the hotel at the BLSC hotel it has bowling, it has a bowling alley, it has a miniature golf course. Actually, it has 2 miniature golf courses. It has an arcade. Like it has a casino, obviously. It has like a bunch of restaurants. Like it is an incredibly like amazing pool area. Like it's a great place. So I was like, well, hey, like, consider, even if we don't really like doing the furry stuff all that much, because we were still new-ish. I mean, we never been to a FurCon, so we weren't really deeply in the fandom. We were kind of. I mean, I was on Twitter and stuff, but not deep at going to a FurCon deep. So I said, well, what if we go? And I invited a friend of ours to fly in and then drive with us, because we were going to drive there, because it's a reasonable. I mean, it's like 9 to 10 hours, but it's doable, right? Like I had driven from Reno to San Diego a lot, so it was no big deal to me. So I invited our friend Thomas. So you guys might know Thomas Yote. He's in Team Thunderfang. He's rated us sometimes. He's sometimes in the chat. I invited him to come with, and Toshabi didn't particularly know him all that well at that time either. He was more of my friend, I would say. But yeah, we invited him, and he drove up with us. The drive itself, I mean, it was exciting. I'd done that drive many times, but it's the first time Toshabi done it, first time Tom had done it, obviously. But it was a drive I was familiar with, so it was kind of fun being able to play a tour guide. And I naturally like to take charge in like road trips or situations like that, so it made sense anyway that I take charge, and yeah. So it was the trip up was pretty uneventful, actually. And I've done many, we've been to BLFC many times, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, so we've been plenty of times, and there have been some which you might hear about later. You might hear about the more not little things going wrong times later on in this podcast episode. But that drive in particular, I'd say it was fine, more than fine. It was very uneventful. We got there in pretty darn good time. We did end up getting there pretty late because Toshabi had to work. At that time, he was working a job where I think he got off at like 2:00 or something, I think. So it was like, and it's a 9 or 10 hour drive. So he got off at like 2:00, and then it's kind of like close to rush hour traffic. So there was some traffic, and yeah, it was a late night. I'm sure we got in probably at like 1 a.m. or something. So that year was not optimal in terms of what time we got in, but in terms of the actual con, it went very, very well. Or the drive, it went very, very well. The con itself, was a lot of fun. We ended up going back many, many times. So as you can see, it was a good experience. So we roomed with one other kind of mutual. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough thing because they're one of the few people who I would say doesn't like me. Question mark. I don't know how to. And I mean, I feel like that's probably egotistical of me to say like one of the few people. But we had a falling out. They don't like me anymore. So there's that. But at the con itself, they were fine. We weren't even particularly friends much then, so they didn't really do stuff with us per se. It was just kind of like a roommate type situation. Like, I think, no, Tama had a suit then. Tama, and I think maybe they had a suit as well, or I don't even remember, to be honest with you, but they didn't really hang out with us. So, but you know what, that's fine. They did their thing. We got the room a little cheaper because they were our roommate. It didn't like affect Toshabi and I at all because they slept in the bed with Tama, the other bed. So it was fine. But yeah, so the con itself, I mean, honestly, I don't really remember a lot about the con because we didn't know that many people, right? After that one, we started telling our friends about BLFC because we were like, holy shit, this con is effing cool. So we started telling our friends, and then subsequent years, we were going crazy. We started by the time we went a few years, we had like a whole huge squad. Like we would have 2 connecting rooms, and I would like, there was a day. Well, I don't know. Should I tell this one now? I guess I can just tell it now, but maybe we'll jump back to this con. But one year I remember I had like back to back like things to do. So I went to a lunch, and then I went to another lunch thing. I mean, they were eating lunch, but I had just eaten lunch. So I just had like some drinks, I think, or something, appetizers. I don't know, something. And then I had to go to another meetup. Like, it wasn't exactly a meal, but it was like cocktails. So it was like back to back to back, three things like directly in a row. And at that point I was like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like my appointment book is full. I have like all these plans with different groups and like, and that, you know, that's like the minimum. Like these are like, these aren't like random people that I'm just like seeing. Like these are my like people that mean a lot to me. Right. That I'm like trying to squeeze everyone in. So it was tough. But anyway, yeah, that first year, very chill. We mostly just, I mean, we drank and we, you know, gambled and played games and stuff. I mean, it really wasn't anything bad. There was nothing bad about it. But yeah, I mean, I think to further answer Otterly's question, because part two of it was how does it compare to your FurCon trips now? The real big thing is just the amount of people that I know. So in 2015, I was relatively new on Twitter. At least on furry Twitter, I was relatively new. I'd been on Twitter for a little bit, but like the furry aspect of it, I was pretty new to. And so for me, it was this situation of back then I didn't know people. Now, like God help me, I'm already ready for it. When I go to FWA, it's going to be insane. Oh, you know, I'm knock on wood. I'm hoping to go to FWA next year, but like FWA is going to be crazy because everyone I know goes to FWA. Like I could easily have another situation of like back to back to back to back to back social events. So yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to is just knowing a lot of people. So things are more hectic. This past year, actually was a little more LVSC. That is like LVSC 2024 was a lot more hectic, kind of like again of the. Although I mean I jumped around a lot this year too, but I tried to keep this year a little more focused on you know the people that I got to that I you know convinced persuaded to come to the con, Kellen Cole and Otterly. So I tried to focus on y'all more. And it's funnily enough, it's Otterly's question. I know Kilmori will be listening, so you know, hey. But yeah, I try to focus on that a little more and be a little less hectic. Saturday night is really the night when I saw like one, two, like three different groups of people that I needed to see. And I still didn't see everyone I wanted. But you know, and who knows next year, especially next year if Chili and Leo and others come, it's gonna be another one of those years where it's gonna be hard for me to see everyone because I'm gonna be focused on my core group. But I am at my core a more I'm a viber. I'm an ebber and a flower. And if those BLSCs, especially well, not especially the first one because we didn't know as many people, but definitely those BLSCs, I would be roaming a lot. And at that time, I kind of I don't know. I don't think I was as focused on the core group. Well, I was moving and shaking. I guess I left Toshabi to take care of our core group because Toshabi is less of a mover and shaker and roamer. He's more of a chiller. So I would leave him with our you know, with our wonderful group, oftentimes in the room playing games or something, and I would be ebbing and flowing and moving and shaking and going to see all the people that I had social obligations to see. Another fun thing, I guess, about my very first BLSC in that 2015, the trip that we are talking about here, the aforementioned trip, is I saw a friend of mine that I'd been really good friends with since 2010. And, you know, it's interesting. At that time, that was like 5 years, right? And it was like, wow, we're finally meeting after 5 years. That's the craziest thing ever. But nowadays, like, I meet people that I've known, like, I mean, I knew Cal for 5 years before I met him at this LVSC. And like I meet people now that I have known for like 10 years online and never met, or even more in some cases. So 5 years, I remember it's funny because at the time that seemed like an eternity. Like we've known each other for 5 years, we've never met online. That's crazy. But now, I mean, I know so many people. There's people that I've known for 10, even going on 15 years now that I've never met in person. That maybe, I mean, especially if I get to do FWA, I think I'll get to check a lot of people off that list, mayhaps. So. You know, it's pretty cool stuff, I think. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question, Otterly. The real difference is I just know a lot more people now. I am a lot older. I mean, that's a big thing as well. When I first started going to cons, I was, 26? Now I'm 36. So I think as far as like tiredness and stuff, that hasn't really changed, right? Like I'm still Raichu. I still have energy for days and days and days. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess just socially expanding my circles and meeting new people and hopefully having a positive impression on people that they want to meet me because, at the end of the day, you could be in the fandom for 100 years and if you're not a likable person, people aren't going to want to meet you at cons. And I'm very thankful that when I go to cons, a lot of people and I'm appreciative because sometimes I don't get to see everyone I want and I'm worried that people might feel bad that I'm ignoring them intentionally or something. But realistically, it's busy. There's a lot of people, and I'm trying to make sure everyone's happy. In particular, my core group, which when Toshabi was around, he was happy playing the role of keeping them happy while I did my roaming. But these days, if I invite people to the con, like I did this past year, I would try to focus on them more. I think so. Maybe a little less roaming. Although, again, my first FurCon compared to now would be similar because I didn't do a lot of roaming then because I didn't know people. But now I know people, but I'm just gonna probably try to focus a little more on my core group because it just seems like the right thing to do. But I still, when I can, want to see people because there's a lot of beautiful people in the world, and I do have my core group of friends, people that are essential in my life, but there's a lot of amazing people out there, and even like I said, this past LVFC at on Saturday, I got to meet one of the most important people. I would say probably, I don't know, the history of my life might be a little dramatic, but someone really important that's helped me a lot in my life, and I'd never met him in person before, and I got to on that Saturday because we broke off from the gang. Utterly took Kel and Cole home to Hongshu. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the main difference is just knowing a lot of people, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful, again, that people not only know me, but they want to spend time with me because some people, I mean, not everyone has a bunch of people that want to hang out with them, right? I always see people like, oh, I'm bored. Anyone doing anything? I'm very rarely bored at a FurCon. There's always people to see, things to do, drinks to have. There's always something. But that's me. I'm a social being. I like to be around people, meet new people, see people, and I like moving and shaking. I'm a mover and shaker. I get antsy sitting around in the same place for too long. So I like to be moving, shaking, baking, and taking notes, So thanks for the question, Otterly. Wonderful, wonderful question, my friend. Number 2 from Leo. Does Leo listen to the podcast? I don't know. Has Leo ever listened to a podcast episode? Probably like 20 episodes ago. Well, thanks for the question, Leo. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to message you. I'm going to say, hey, Leo, I answered your question. Are you going to watch the episode? We'll see what he says. Leo's question is, if you wanted to travel just to see the places, nature, what places would you want to go? Like ignoring whether there are people you want to see there. So that's a great question. Really good question. So I guess, probably the biggest would be then, I guess, Japan. Because, I'm a video game collector. That's the haven for video game collecting. I'm just saying it would be a real good place for that. But so I would say definitely to some extent Japan. Kind of a cliche answer, everyone wants to go to Japan, I think, but I think that would be high up on the list. Not for nature per se. I guess there might be some nature things I like to see there. I don't know, but really just for the city life. But as far as like naturey stuff, I always wanted to go to Australia. That it was like always one of my big answers when I was a kid. Like I'd want to go to Australia, which I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like maybe I'm just a little bitch adult and I'm scared of dying. But there's a lot of scary things there, so I don't want to die. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dramatic, but I'm scared. Like there's a lot of scary animals and bugs and stuff that want to kill you there. I guess maybe they don't want to kill you, but they can kill you. I don't know. And it's funny. I wonder if it's funny because like maybe it's the same as like people from other countries thinking you're like gonna get shot in America, but like I don't worry about that at all particularly. And maybe that's how it is in Australia about like the poisonous snakes and spiders and stuff. It's like that's not a real thing to worry about. So maybe I'm just being a dramatic little weirdo. But I don't know. Would I still go to Australia? Yeah, if the opportunity arose, I would love to go. Naturey stuff. I don't know. I think I've always wanted to travel to all the states. I've been to a lot of states, so it'd be cool to get to go to all the states. I mean, like Hawaii would be cool. Um, I've had the privilege of going to Mexico, some beautiful place in Mexico, which we'll talk about in a future part of this episode. Um, but I don't know. I guess maybe if I really wanted to go see nature things, I would probably ask around or get some insight. But I think those are some good starts of like places that don't have people. Like there's other. It's interesting because there's always going to be some bias, right? Um, like I could say, like the UK vibe seems really cool, right? Like I'd like to go to the UK because there's like, I know it's stupid, but like I want to try Greg's and Nando's and stuff, all these famous places, and like the pubs are the vibe, like that's my vibe, like I'm sure it'd be great. But then there would always be some level of bias if I said that answer, even if I said like Italy or something. Like I've seen pictures and stuff, like the nature and like the architecture, all that stuff seems really cool. The food, like Italian food is my favorite food. So like I could say that, but then there would be bias of going there to see people as well. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. So I mean, just choosing places where I don't really know anyone that I would say I'm super close to. Australia, Japan, I guess would be the two. Let me think of any places in Europe that fit that criteria. See, the bias would be like I know people in most European countries, and like even if I said like Germany, like I'd be biased toward EF or Aaron or those people. But I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of European countries would be cool. My mom was a travel agent when she was younger, and she traveled to a lot of Europe and has a lot to say about a lot of the countries, like good things. So I don't know. It might be cool to go to places that like I don't know people, like Switzerland or like something like that. Like seems like a pretty neat place, I think, like from what I've seen and stuff, in movies or TV shows or whatever. But it seems pretty cool. So maybe like Switzerland would be neat. I think it'd be cool to go to some places like that are a little less, like, like UK, Germany, Italy, like places like that, like a lot of American tourists go to, I think. But yeah, I guess maybe more obscure places, like maybe, I don't know, Scotland, or like, yeah, like I said, like Switzerland, Norway, I don't know, like just going to some really neat places that I don't really know anyone, just for the point of that I don't know anyone, and it's kind of a different experience, sounds like a good adventure. I don't know if I would go alone to those places. Like maybe if I traveled with a partner or something, or a friend or something, but we weren't going there to see someone, obviously. Like we're not going to Switzerland to see someone because we don't know anyone there, but like I'm traveling with someone. I feel like I would probably want to go with someone. And I mean, I guess that's just in general, right? Because, I think for me anyway, trips, the best part of trips are memories that I can share with not just myself. Like you'll see a common trend in the stories that I tell today, and that most of them involve other people that we have memories of that I can still reference to this day. And I mean, yeah, I guess that's human nature to, enjoy a trip like that more when you can share it with someone. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just human nature. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Leo. Good question, because at first when I read the question, I don't know if I read it correctly, because I was thinking that it was saying like, where would you travel? And I was about to just like rattle off, I'm going to go to the UK to see Leo. I want to go to Italy to see Chili Max. Like, but you threw me a curveball, and it was an interesting thought exercise. So thank you for that. That was a good question, and I hope that I answered. Yeah, my answer as a child was always Australia. I think Australia is really neat. I think I'm just maybe a little more of a bitch as an adult, or I don't know. I think I don't know. Like I value life more. I think just because I've seen how beautiful life can be and how cruel life can be. But you know what? I don't know. I'm an endless optimist, and this is a little tangent from talking about trips, but I posted a tweet today talking about just like being outside and just thinking about how beautiful the world is. And the world is shitty, but sometimes, and I've been through my fair share of shit, but I don't know, the optimist in me never dies. Like I always just, as simple as walking outside in the sun for a little bit, like saying hello to some random person, like they're nice back, and like just seeing, the world. I don't know. It's a good goal. I definitely want to see a lot. That's originally why I got the Capital One credit card to have the high baller card with lounge access and all this stuff because it's a travel card, and I wanted to travel the world. And then, as you guys know, in 2024, some bad shit in my life happened, and it has put a lot of my travel goals on hold. But the good thing is, knock on wood, I have my health, I have my lust for life as always, and I hope that I'll be able to have some good experiences, and I hope that many of you, depending on who's listening, I hope that maybe some of you guys will be able to join in on those experiences and memories with me, because for me, any memory is better when there's people that you care about that you can have those memories with. And if not just for me, again, I'm sure that's for anyone. So, yeah. Thanks for the question, Leo. I hope that my answer was good. I know I didn't have a whole ton of options, but Australia and Japan, that's a good two, I think. And if we want to throw in a Europe one, I don't know, Switzerland, why not? Why not? I don't know much about Switzerland, but I think that's also part of the fun. Going to a country you don't really know a whole lot about. I feel like I know a lot more about, like, the UK or Italy or places like that. So, any oodles, my friends. I don't know why I was gonna sign you out. We're just barely getting started in the episode, but yeah, let's do it. What are we talking about next? Well, the next trip I'm going to talk about is we talked about BLSC, so let's talk about BLSC as a whole and the multiple trips that I have been through to BLSC. So yeah, the second year we went, I invited one of my closest friends, and I don't want to say there's some issues. There's some issues there. Yeah, there's some issues. We didn't really have a falling out per se, but there's some issues there, and I won't get into talking about it in public. Maybe I don't know, Cal or Leo, I would tell you guys, or Chili Max, I don't know, the people, the core people. If you ever listen to this and you were curious, I could tell you about it, but I mean, it's not really important anyway. But yeah, at the time, a dear friend of mine and his partner at the time, we invited them to go with us, and that might be my favorite. This particular friend has had many, many partners in the time I've known him, and I think this is my favorite. Well, I don't know. There's two I really liked, and two not so much. But this is arguably the one that I think I like the most. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's tough. It's close. But yeah, it was a really good time, and it was our first time. I remember even Toshabi and I were teaching them how to play craps, or watching YouTube videos on how to play craps so that they could learn before we got to BLFC rather. Sorry, I might say LVFC, but I mean BLFC when I'm talking about these old cons, because LVFC hasn't existed that long. So anyway, yeah, that one was a lot of fun, and that one we actually we left very early in the morning. It was really funny. So we ate chicken wings from Wingstop. You guys know Wingstop? We had Wingstop pretty late at night the night before, and we were going to be leaving to BLSC at 4 a.m. I think was our planned time, because we wanted to get there pretty early, right? Makes sense. The year before it had kind of sucked ass because we got there really, really late and hit traffic. So if we leave really early before the traffic and anything, we'll get there early. There will be no traffic. Amazing, right? Unfortunately, we ate Wingstop pretty late, and then the morning came, and Wingstop has a way of, without getting into TMI, Wingstop has a way of hurting your tummy. So we had some bathroom troubles there, and I also remember there was a part where my friend's ex, well, yeah, I mean, the other guy was my friend too, but one of the friends had to use the restroom, and so I had to pull over in some random ass town in the middle of, because the drive from San Diego to Reno is a lot of nothingness, a whole lot of nothingness. If you guys have ever seen the movie The Hills Have Eyes, it's kind of like that. It is a lot of nothing and scary areas. So we went to some random place so he could poop at some gas station, and I don't know where, and I don't want to know where. We got the hell out of there after that. But the con itself, a lot of fun, and that was kind of, I think, when not popularity, but I started knowing a lot more people. Like that one, we had 2 rooms next to each other, packed, bumping at all times, some crazy parties, gaming and stuff. And it was just a really nice time. And I remember that one fondly because it was kind of my first, what I would say is a pop-in BLFC. And I guess then there's one more BLSC I remember really well, and it's for, I guess, kind of a funny reason. So the friend from the previous year, he had already broken up with that guy that I talked about. So he was, I don't know if he was technically seeing this other guy yet, or if they were kind of just talking. But there's another guy he was kind of interested in that we met at the con. He couldn't. I think he wanted to drive with us, but I don't remember why. I think there was a reason he couldn't. So it was me and that friend and Toshabi. And we also had another friend that we had moved to San Diego, who I had known online, and moved to San Diego. And so we had, and he wanted to try BLFC, so he carpooled with us too. So that was cool. And so the four of us were going. And again, the drive to BLFC is very much the boonies. There's nothingness, right? You can go a long time without anything, right? And that includes gas stations. So at some point in the drive, there's a point where it's like, here's a gas station, or you have to wait X amount of miles to get to the next one. And I had looked and I had calculated, because, you know, in your car, usually it shows like the range that you have left. So it'll say like, you know, you got 50 miles left of gas or something. And whatever the number was, I don't really remember the numbers, but at this point, but it said something like, you know, next gas station in 30 miles. And my car said it has 40 or 50, whatever miles. It had what I would decree to be a reasonable amount of mileage. At least the range it was giving me seemed like I had enough to get to the next gas station. And so I perhaps foolishly rolled the dice. But again, in these long drives, right, I was the only one driving. They're very, very long. Sometimes you make judgment mistakes. And I think I'm a pretty responsible driver in general, and a responsible guy in general. But I made a mistake. And so my car very rapidly started the mileage. Once we got past that gas station, we were like halfway to the next one. My car's mileage range, what it was showing, went down drastically. Like, it dropped like a rock. And we pretty quickly realized, we could be in trouble. And I mean, long story short, we weren't in trouble. I was coasting. I was making sure I didn't use gas. There's hills and stuff you go down, so I'm like keeping my foot off the gas, making sure I'm not using any gas. And TLDR, we did make it to the most scary middle of nowhere gas station I have ever been in, and I've been in many. But we did make it there. My car did not run out of gas, but it was as low as I think it could get. The range was 0. And I have actually a picture somewhere, probably from almost not quite 10 years ago, 7 or 8, maybe, I don't know. But I still have a picture of my car saying range 0. And I'm happy that we didn't get stranded, because it would have been very bad. I mean, we would have been okay. Someone would have had to walk probably a couple miles at least to go get it. And we're all like fit young people. And I wouldn't say it was exactly dangerous per se, but I mean, it was still the middle of nowhere. So I think we would have found a way. We would have been okay. Or I could have called AAA probably or something if I had to. But it wouldn't have been good. It would have certainly put a large damper on the trip. And, you know, there was no damper put on the trip in this outcome. It was just, it's something that I still get teased about to this day. Because, yeah, it really was, it was very unRighty like. I'm a good road tripper. I've done so many long road trips, and I'm, you know, naturally kind of considered usually the responsible one on trips. And I made a poor judgment decision that day. If it was a horror movie, let me tell you guys, if it was a horror movie, that would have been the thing where the audience is watching and says like, "Oh my God, you're so stupid. Why are you doing this? Like, this is idiotic. This is stupid. Why would you be RightyY? Why? Don't do this, RightyY. Why would you be doing this?" But thankfully, it was not a horror movie, and we didn't die. So, yeah, baby, I'm happy. So anyway, moving on to our next thing, because we're past BLFCs. I think we've talked mostly about the BLFC trips pretty well. All the cons, always fun. I love BLFC. I wouldn't say I have like a whole lot of I don't know. Do we have any crazy stories? I mean, I don't know. Just a lot of good times and good memories with friends. A lot of people that sadly that I don't have a lot of connection with anymore, which I'm not sure if that's on me. I don't know. There's some underlying issues to the bad things that happened to my life last year with some of those people. So it's hard for me to go into too much detail or ponder too much or blame myself too much. You know, sometimes you know, these friendships fade a little bit, and maybe I could have done better. Maybe they could have done better. Maybe we all could have done better. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to try to not beat myself up too much on that. So anyway, moving away from BLFC, I've got some good stories. I mean, we could talk about something a little more lighthearted before something a little more intimidating or scary. One of my more favorite stories I've got saved for you for later on a trip, but I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking about some more wholesome times as a young lad. When I was a young lad, about 14 years old, my mom was going to take me and my little brother on a road trip to visit her family in Kansas. I remember this road trip very, very fondly. It was very bold. I mean, my mom took us two kids on her own. My brother would have been 6 years old or so. And we're going on a road trip. I mean, many thousands of miles. I don't know how many exactly, but several days just to get there. I think would have been at least 3 days, because I believe we stayed in Arizona and then in New Mexico and then to Kansas. I think something like that. That doesn't seem right when I think about it on a map, but I don't know. I was a little kid, so I don't know the exact logistics of everything. I was just chilling. One of the cool things we did was my parents had bought a TV, like a little tiny TV, like those fat TVs. You remember them? And we had that along with my Super Nintendo in the car, which that wasn't the newest console at the time. There was a lot better consoles, but it was just one that would easily work right in the car with like this old fat TV. And so I played Super Nintendo, and I remember playing a lot of Chrono Trigger. I remember showing Chrono Trigger to one of my cousins when we got to Kansas, and being really, I don't know if proud is the right word, but like I love Chrono Trigger, right? So I was excited to be able to share that with someone, just like I am now. Just like I'm excited now when I get to stream it and whatnot. So that was a fun trip. To be honest, I mean, I wouldn't say there was a lot noteworthy. It was kind of, unfortunately, as a young lad, a lot of it was like, oh, let's go see aunt and uncle. Like, this is kind of boring, you know what I mean? But overall, it was a good, chill time. Even at that time, I mean, honestly, I started being overworked when I was about 16 years old, when I was playing poker, working 30 hours a week at a job, going to school full time. So 14, that was one of my last times of relative relaxation, I would say. So I'm happy about that. One funny thing I remember from that trip is my aunt and uncle lived in this really small town in Kansas, tiny town, and there's absolutely nothing to do there. But they did have a gas station, and that gas station had Slurpees. Yeah, you know, if you know what a Slurpee is, like an icy or like a, you know, something like that, like a frozen drink. And I went there to get a Slurpee one day. And, you know, they're like $1 or something, like they're cheap. But anyway, I went to get the cup, and like I got the Slurpee in there, and I like pulled the little thingy to make the Slurpee go in the cup, and it like exploded like crazy all over. And so I was like, oh, what the hell? And so I like threw the cup away, and the clerk got really mad at me, and they're like, oh, you got to pay for that now. And I just remember, like, I'm still annoyed at it, like to this day. Because I'm like, brother, like, your shit exploded on me. That's not my fault. But anyway, I just paid it, obviously. But like, it still annoys me. I'm like, it wasn't my fault the stupid thing exploded, dude. And at that point, it was fucked. Like, I had to throw it away. So screw you being petty, like the minimum wage person. It wasn't like the owner or anything, I don't think. They were just like very serious about this Slurpee. So I'm still petty about this to this day, 20 plus years later. And you know what? They can suck it. But that's one of the things I remember. Spent a lot of time with family. I remember watching It on TV. You know, the movie It, the original It, on TV at my aunt's house, aunt and uncle's house there, which I'm a big fan of that movie. But it did scare me a lot as a kid, and I mean, it's pretty scary as an adult, I would say. But yeah, I remember that, and just relaxing a lot, which is good again because I was soon to be burnt out after that. It was one of the last relaxing trips I can remember. Well, that might be the last time I've actually had like a long-term relaxing trip. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. But um, we're getting deep here. But yeah, that's always a fun trip that I remember, and it was cool doing a road trip. And I remember I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I was like a pretty popular guy. And so I remember when I got back, like I was gone for 2 or 3 weeks and I'd never been really gone. And so when I got back, like everyone, all my friends were like so excited to see me. And it was such a big thing, like, yo, he's back. Yeah, baby. So that feels good. It's always good to feel like you're wanted, that people are happy that you're back, that they missed you. I think feeling missed is like one of the most powerful things because there's such a FOMO when you're not somewhere. Even to this day, I feel like if I like left for a couple weeks, I would be feeling FOMO, like everyone would just forget about me, And so I think being missed is a very powerful emotion, and having people say like, "Oh, we really missed you," or like being just excited to see you back is a really powerful emotion. And I mean, I don't know if I'll have any times coming up where I'll be gone. Probably not for any extended period of time, but I would hope that I'd be missed if I was gone. It's a powerful emotion, so that's the other thing I remember from that trip. But yeah, it was a good time. So speaking of Mexico, we talked about Mexico earlier when I was a kid, and it's crazy, right? At the time, I mean, I guess, what year would that have been? Early 2000s? I went on a school trip. So I lived in San Diego, as I've talked about here, which is right near the Mexico border, about 30 minutes away. And my class had gone on a class trip to Mexico, which now seems crazy, but at the time it seemed pretty normal. I think it was considered a little safer to go, and so it was no problem. And we did not go because there's a town called Tijuana on the border of Mexico and California, which that place, like me and my family would go. Like I'd been there many, 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 many times, but this particular trip, we went deep into Mexico. If you've ever heard of a town called Rosarito and a town called Ensenada, we went to those two places, which they are deep into Mexico. And I remember driving on these windy roads. Well, I wasn't driving, I was a kid, but like riding with the class, the teacher or whatever that was driving on these windy roads deep in Mexico. And it was such a weird vibe because, again, that's a trip where we had left very, very early in the morning. And so, like, I just remember this really cool aura while we were driving there, just on these windy roads deep in the heart of Mexico. And it was a really cool, memorable trip. It's a rare time when I remember, like, I was listening to Nickelback. You guys know that song, "This Is How You Reminded Me." This is how you remind me of what I really am. And some other songs, I think. But I just remember, the music and just being deep in the heart of Mexico. Really cool trip, but also pretty scary. I don't really remember a whole lot from the trip other than it was cool. We got to see some sights, eat some good food and stuff like that. But I just remember the drive, I feel like, more than anything, just because the feeling of, wow, we're pretty far. This is a far away. This is not my backyard anymore. This is a far away place. But it was a cool trip, and definitely seems crazy to me in this day and age. But at the time, very normal. Very simple, basic trip. Nothing crazy. My parents let me go. Don't even remember them being concerned or telling me to be safe or anything like that. It was just like, all right, have fun. And my parents can be pretty cautious. I don't know, worried. Well, my mom, at least, I feel like. I don't know. Not so much. Kind of, I guess. It's hit or miss. I don't know with my parents. But for the most part, they're... I think I've seen worse for sure in terms of overly concerned parents. But yeah, they were totally fine with it. They were like, rock it. And it was a fun trip. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm aware, unfortunately, in this day and age, again, it's a lot tougher to go to those places. It's a lot more dangerous, and probably just me being a little mortal bitch, and I don't want to die, so I probably would avoid something like that in this day and age, so I can live on. I don't know. Life is such a beautiful thing, man, and as someone who's again, we're gonna get deep for just a second. Someone who's had some bad shit the last year. I'm always grateful, and I don't I try not to look at it as like I'm so awesome I can have this optimism, but as a gift that I'm able to have. I'm able to keep an optimism and a zest for life and an how do I say this, and just have hope, continue to have hope and continue to see the world for the beautiful place it can be, despite the shitty things that sometimes that can be as well. Okay, so that trip is done. Another trip I took when I was a pretty young lad. I would have been about, maybe I was 18 already, but it was close. Was going to drive to Las Vegas, but I lived in San Diego at the time still. I've only lived in Las Vegas for 3 years. So at the time, still lived in San Diego. And I was going to go see a dear friend of mine get married. And I was going with one other friend, probably my best friend. And this one is, at the time, that is. And not an exaggeration to say that he is one of the top, easily probably one of the top 5 most important people in the history of my life. And so anyway, we were going with our friends. We actually driving with the couple getting married. I was driving, and we were gonna, take them to Vegas, and then they were gonna get married. And so yeah, it was a small wedding. It was the bride and groom, me, my friend, the groom's brother, who met us there, who is also my friend as well, but he couldn't drive with us. Another situation of, I think he had work, so he had to come up a day later. So we were that. I was a young buck at that time. That was scary, driving to Vegas as a 18-year-old. It's a long drive, like 5-6 hours, and I had never done really a long drive before. So yeah, we left at night to avoid traffic. I think we left at like 10 p.m. We got in really late. I just remember I was so tired. The drive itself was fine, but when we got in there, I was so tired, and we hadn't booked a hotel, so we were like just staying at wherever, and we ended up staying at, oh my god, the most sketchy freaking motel ever. It was really, really sketchy, worse than the places Kel wanted to stay when he came to LVFC and was going to stay the night before. Really, really, really bad place, especially for an 18-year-old. Quite hilarious in hindsight, but we made it work. They got married, and things weren't that smooth. So I had a piece of crap car at the time. I was like 18, working at KFC, and my car had some issues, kind of like my PC, guys. It worked okay for the most part, but it knew the times that it really needed to not mess up, it would mess up, and it broke down in Vegas, and I think that was the day of the wedding or the day before, one or the other. We were coming back from the courthouse. We were taking them to the courthouse to get their marriage license, and my car broke down on a pretty busy street in Las Vegas. And I just remember the awkwardness of getting to the side of the road and then getting it towed and all this stuff on the wedding, like the day of the wedding. It was so stressful. And then like I didn't have my car. It was in the shop, and I think it was in the shop until Monday because it was like the weekend or something. It was so bad. And then finally, on like the morning of that I needed to go home, so thank God they called. They said they called me and they said, "Hey, the car is starting just fine now. We're not really sure why it died, but we can't find anything wrong with it, and we're not able to do anything. So like we're not charging you anything, right? Because there's nothing. We didn't do anything. So it was like awesome, cool, and the car worked okay. And me and my one friend that were left, the bride and groom had, I think, flown back or taken the bus, something. They were outro. But me and my friend were the last 2 survivors, and we were driving back home and we got just to the outskirts of Vegas, which is pretty much the desert, middle of nowhere. And unfortunately, the car had been having problems stalling when it was stopped. And for the first part of the drive, there was, I was just going Noom. But unfortunately, I hit some traffic at that point. My car it was in a stop and go situation with my car, and the car died in the middle of the freeway, in the middle of the desert. And so I got to a safe-ish place. We called my friend's parents. We still live with our parents. We called my friend's parents, and they thankfully drove to Vegas. Wow. In hindsight, right? As a kid, you don't really appreciate it as much, but like they drove 6 hours to Vegas, got us, and immediately drove back. And when I say got us, like the car, I managed to get the car home, just driving real cautiously. There was no traffic, right? And it was nighttime, so the car wasn't overheating. And we got home, and wow, what a feeling it was to be home. Got rid of the car pretty quickly thereafter. It was my Ford Escort, and I hate Ford cars to this day because of the headaches that thing gave me. But we did survive, and I think it was not trying to be the optimist, even though I always am, but it gave me some life experience, right? Like shit doesn't always go right. How do we get around this shitty situation? We got around it, got home, life went on. Everything was, relatively happy ever after. Although, by the way, that friend that I'm talking about, that we went to the wedding is the guy in my ride rate video who passed away in 2020 from COVID. He and his wife, who we had gone to the wedding, had already actually divorced. I don't think that long before that, but yeah, he had ended up passing away of COVID. He's that ride rate video. Go. That's good. Great guy, and a real important person in my life that I do miss a lot. And that's always hard, someone that you want to share things with. I always say how I see things, and I think of him, and I want to tell him, but he's not here for me to text him or say, hey, like, check out this thing I saw or something, which is very sad. But again, makes me thankful that I'm here and we can keep pressing on, and the world's a beautiful place, even though it's not always fair. So moving on from that story, I guess my final story, my penultimate story, is going to be my big trip from Reno to go visit Toshabi in 2011, as a young boy in love doing crazy ass things. So I met Toshabi in 2010, and I was in Reno at the time. We had already met when I went back for summer vacation in 2011 from college, when I was back in Southern California. But it'd been a while, and I wanted to go see him. And this was November of 2011. And in Reno, it does snow. And, Reno is in the mountains. It's a mountainous town, Reno, Nevada. And it was late November. I think I was going for Thanksgiving, actually. So it was very late November. And unfortunately, I wanted to leave like a week before. But I had the professors, they love to be little asses. The professor has scheduled a midterm for like a day before Thanksgiving. And so I had to stay in Reno and take this test like a day before Thanksgiving before I could go to California. So it was horrid. It was annoying. I was annoyed, but I had to. So I went in the morning, took the midterm, went fine, I think, and was going to go get on the road. And after the test, I got in my car. I drove up to the gas station, got to fill up, right? Long drive. So again, Reno to Southern California, about 9 hours. So I buckled in. I went to the gas station, got some gas, listened to the radio over there, and the radio's talking about a big storm, and a big storm like a blizzard, kind of. And so I had the choice to make then. I could either go and buy some tire chains, just to have them in case I needed them, or I could choose to press on, right? Basically, getting the tire chains means I'm accepting defeat. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to go get tire chains. It's going to take longer versus trying to wing it. The play is, it's more risky, but basically I'm thinking I can beat the blizzard, right? Because the storm's coming in, but I only need to beat it by about an hour, because within an hour, I can be out of Nevada, through the mountain pass, and out of Nevada. And so me, again, as a young buck, at the time, I don't have the excuse of like I do on that BLSC trip that I talked about, where I just made a foolish decision as a fully grown adult. I was a young kid, and my decision was, let's try to beat the blizzard. So I got back in that car and I hauled ass onto the mountain, went up the mountain, and the way you get through Reno, like I mentioned, was there's a mountain pass. Basically, you go up a mountain, you go through the pass, then you're in California, easy peasy. So I got up the mountain, and unfortunately, as I'm driving up the mountain, more and more snow is coming, more and more snow, and I'm getting a little nervous. And unfortunately, I reached the top of the mountain, and there's a sign that says tire chains mandatory due to snow levels, or whatever it says. I don't really know exactly what it says. Well, son of a bitch, I don't have tire chains. We're in the middle of the mountain. There's no tire chains here. I need to drive back down the mountain another hour to go get chains now. So 1 hour up the mountain, 1 hour back down the mountain immediately to go get tire chains. So I go get tire chains at a place by my house in Reno. And mind you, this is 2011. This is not the days with Google Maps and stuff. I did not have a smartphone, so I couldn't like search like tire chains near me. Some random ass place maybe might have them or something. It was drive back down the mountain to where I know and find a place. So I drove back down the mountain, found a place, got my tire chains. Cool deal. If you never put on tire chains, I can't just put them on like there. They need to be on like when I'm near the snow, or like on the snow, or about to be on the snow. So drive back up the mountain, chains in hand, get back to the top of the mountain. And mind you, a lot of people are leaving for Thanksgiving. It's a holiday weekend. There's a lot of people there. It's very snowy to the point of a blizzard. And I get up there. I don't know how to put on tire chains. So thankfully, right at the tire chains point, there's people that like little hustlers that'll, you pay them like whatever amount of money. I don't really know how much, like whatever it was, I would have had to pay it. I didn't know how to do it. I was a little kid. But I'm going to say it was like $40, probably a huge ripoff. Not a hard thing to do, but again, didn't have a choice. So I paid them. They put the tire chains on. Cool. We start driving through the mountain pass, which is the dangerous snowy area. And I mean, thank God I had the chains, because this is the closest I think I've ever been to dying. Well, one of them actually. But I lost control of my vehicle at one point, and thought I was about to go flying off this dang cliff, ending the Raichu story at freaking 21 years old. Thankfully, that did not happen. I regained control of my vehicle, but I remember, it's kind of crazy, and like, I don't know if funny is the right word, but I had my camera, because at the time I was doing YouTube videos and stuff a lot, so I had brought my camera, because I don't know, maybe I'd do a YouTube video or something, but I had brought it, and I did like a if you find me message like type video in case I fucking drove off the road and like crashed or something, because it was quite terrifying. But thankfully I did not die. I made it through, and now mind you, we're probably already 5 hours into this. Should have been in about an hour, because I went 1 hour back there, 1 hour back, 1 hour back again, driving super slow through the snowy part. And so we're like 5 hours in. It's super late at night. I remember finally getting to California through the mountain pass area. And mind you, getting into California, you're still a long way away from actually being in Southern California. You're in Northern California at that point, which is many, many hours from Southern California. And I get through it. We're through the mountain pass, so I can take my chains off. Unfortunately, by this point, it's quite late at night. There's no one to do the chains yourself. So I remember, and this is, you have those, and I'm getting like chills thinking about it, because it's such a miserable moment. And like really my body is like having chills right now, but it's such an iconically miserable moment in my life. And I just remember being on the side of the road, cars zooming past me, trying to get these chains off. I had no gloves, no nothing. My hands were freezing, frostbitten, trying to get these chains off my car, not knowing how to do it really, just trying, just so depressed, tired, freezing, like feeling just awful. And, thankfully I did eventually get them off. I did eventually. The final drive time to get to Toshabi's was 14 hours. I arrived at approximately 4 a.m. after leaving at 2. And I arrived. Thankfully, Toshabi and one of his brothers had stayed up to greet me. I was obviously dead tired. It was insane. And yeah, funny how I remember that really miserable moment on the side of the road trying to take those tire chains off as my hands were just dying, and it was not a good time. And I don't know if I want to say this, but to further, I guess, emphasize what a good friend, or just what a crazy ass young lad I was. Like, Toshabi and I weren't even dating at the time. He was dating someone else, and I had done that just, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know why, but I did it. And so anyway, we had the Thanksgiving and stuff. It was nice and fun, and I enjoyed the time with everyone, and we had a good time. And the alternative would have been being by myself in Reno for Thanksgiving. So it wasn't. I don't regret that part. But anyway, yeah. When I left the trip, the story's not over. When I left the trip to go back to Reno after Thanksgiving for school, I was driving back, and funny how things line up. But there were some delays and blah blah blah, various other things. I ended up leaving kind of late, and when I left, I was driving in the middle of nowhere, driving back from SoCal to Reno again. Like I said, there's a lot of nothingness there, and I was driving on a road in the middle of nowhere, on like a bridge, and I guess I was not astute enough, but a truck hit me hard on the side of my car, hit and run, and that was really scary because, again, I was a young lad, and it really fucked up my car. And by this point, I don't have the crappy Escort, by the way, thankfully. But yeah, it really was terrifying because it was very late at night. I got hit and run in the middle of nowhere. And unfortunately, it was a case of I'm a good driver. I haven't been in accidents. That's the only time I've been in a quote unquote accident. And it was just because I had been driving for so long. I was so tired. I was so burnt out from everything. And I wasn't paying enough attention. Usually I'm a good enough defensive driver that I could have prevented that. But in that case, I didn't prevent it because I was just too out of it, and I fucked up. It's not my fault that they hit me, but normally I would be more alert and I could have avoided it. So that part is upsetting. I was okay. It broke my mirror. I had to get my mirror on my car replaced. But other than that, like, there was just a big gash in my car. I couldn't afford to fix it. So I just had the gash in my car, but it drove fine. That car was great. I loved that car. But yeah, I sold it in 2014. Is that the year? I think so. 15, 14? 14? Yeah, 14, I think. But yeah, it was that was a crazy trip. And again, not even for someone you're dating. I was a crazy guy. I was a crazy guy. I'm a loyal guy, and I'm not gonna toot my own horn too much as we end off this episode, but I really am. I think I'm quite a loyal guy, and when I care about you, if you need me, and I felt like I was needed in that case to go on that trip, I went on it, and some bad shit happened. But I lived to tell the tale, and that's one of my favorite stories to tell. Not because it was, honestly, I mean, the trip itself was okay. The drive there and back were awful for the reasons I mentioned, but we made it through, and it's a memory, and it's something I can continue to remember. And I don't know, just kind of roll with it, But yeah, that's my last trip story. So I hope that you guys enjoyed our little trip edition here. I enjoyed sharing the stories with you. A lot of the stories most people here probably haven't heard. Probably not. So I hope that you enjoyed getting to learn some things about me, and you're always welcome to DM me. I hope that no one ever feels like they watch this and maybe they have a question about something, or they are curious about something. If you ever watch something, one of these, and you have a question or you're curious about something, feel free to message me and ask me. I'd love to be able to share more if I can. So anyway, I just want to say thank you guys again for helping me get to episode 28. I've got some more surprises in store. Like I said, for October, I'm hoping, if it can work out, I'm hoping to have a special episode. But if it doesn't, well, we'll just have a normal episode. We'll get through November, December, and we'll push on to 2026, where the podcast will be continuing. And I hope that you will continue to be here with me because, I'm just a guy here, and you guys are the hearts of the people that support it and listen to it and make me want to keep going. So thank you so much. I love you very much, and I appreciate you listening. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you and talk to you very soon.